Hello and welcome to another game of Trojan as the orcs, who we have here over the right, versus Bikerushownz, who is once again playing Marines in the left, on Mork's Maya, which is interesting because this was a 2v2 map, which in the last patch got moved to both 3v3 and 1v1, I believe. I have not played on this map yet as a 1v1 map. In the very few 2v2s I have done, this is one of the maps I have played the most. I think actually every 2v2 I've done has been on this map, so I have a little bit of experience on it, but it's a big wide open map on the sides, which can get a bit squashed in the middle. So we have lots of these little runs around here, and there's a lot of bits of high ground and such, and then there's this bottom part on the mile, which is sort of a big open plain, and then this big top on the hill, which is also similar apart from this high ground around the point. And then we have the middle point in here, which is in this sort of little choke here with brush on both sides hiding people's movements. So aggressive Space Marine play here. Tax getting out there, putting a barracks down at the top so he can get some scouts and possibly some assault marines down. Also as a point to be able to reinforce from. Both players obviously taking the easy point at the front. Each taking the sort of natural expansion there, as it were, the second player point from this being a team map. I wonder how this works on free players. If you just still have 2 points there. That's sort of, I guess with the money upgrades that would end up being fine. And so more Marines coming down here. Quite a few squads now. It's 3 attack squads right at the front, getting some damage done. As soon as this war tower goes up, they're going to have to back off, but until then they can push up a bit. Trojan just staying in the brush so that the Marines can't get good shots off, and now he's going to start chasing them away. Gonna hit off a war here to try and get a bit more aggression going with these orcs. The map has sort of been gently taken on both sides. Bikerushownz the only one pushing out. And is, because of that, up 1 requisition point. Liston post going down. Second requisition coming down after the first, not at the same time, as you can pull off somehow right now apparently, and was pulled off in the last game between these two. But no abusive bugs coming out here. This is going to be straight up. And the boys, all wired up, are coming in here, and Assault Marines are actually going to get into the back, and this is early enough that they still actually can do something. They can hold some people down. Gonna leap forward again, get some splash here, but the orcs are just going out. They aren't sticking around for this. Squad of boys are going to go down, but that's probably all the losses that they're going to end up taking, especially with more shooters arriving to push these Assault Marines back. So we have the big gang of Marines now. We've got power gen going down for each side. 2 power gens going down for the orc player. So he doesn't have another location to get a... he could get a wreck in the middle here, actually, I guess. But this point is very dangerous right now. And in this game, he is not waiting for the commando. With the more aggression coming down from Bikerushownz, I suppose, he is going for the Storm Boys instead. And Bikerushownz is now moving down to hit this bottom side of the map. Got Assault Marines up the top still. Another Assault Marines in the middle. So going 2 Assault Marines, 3 attacks, which is a nice composition. It's you know, varied composition. It's quite fun. And on the orc side, we see the boy hut being quite far back here. The war tower going down. But we're still in the early game, so it's going to be a lot of big blobs clashing. Oh, big hit there to counter the jetpacks, and that's just going to kill these Assault Marines. Drop pod coming down. Is that going to be the kill team? It is. as soon as they get this flamer, they can hopefully put some shots off, but they're actually just going to get caught up in melee combat immediately. They're going to throw out the grenade, but they're really not having a great time here. The jump packs going in each direction, neither of them getting huge hits. The boys are wrapping around these assault marines, and the Deathwatch kill team is just getting pushed out. There are some marines in this side, but only 5 models of marines, so they're not doing a huge amount of damage compared to everyone else. This weakened army of marines isn't looking too scary right now to this big orc horde that's coming in. But they're not going to stay to fight this listening post. That squad of boys is going to go down. And so Bikerush actually retains control of the map here. Bikerush is in a good position to go on from here. 3 points down to 2, essentially, because Bikerush hasn't got the last point on here, but neither of these middle points have been taken, and he has all the points up here coming in. So the orcs back at their war, reinforcing. Marines are split around. Gretchen's taking this bottom point. Actually, the Marines went all the way back to their HQ to reinforce. And we're going to have another war push coming out here from Trojan. I do love the animation of these war towers. They're great. So every these orcs looks like they're gonna push up here to the top. Most of Bikerush's forces are sort of split around the map. There's quite a few here. There's 2 squads of assault marines in there, and there is the Deathwatch kill team. But the jump was expecting them to push up, and they did not. They backed off. In fact, they might be able to catch some attack marines out here in the open. That's what seems to be what they are trying to do. Getting another war coming up from this closer tower to try and reinforce this. But some big assault marine leaps coming down here. Still doing a lot of work even after their nerfs. The kill team are now pushing down as well. The buff is going to go off, but a lot of the orcs have already been taken out in this situation. They're going down, and Bikerush is going to retreat as this goes off. He's going to lose this first assault marine squad. He just doesn't quite have enough army to fight against this horde that's coming out in the middle of the map. Drop pod coming down here from Bikerush. Just scouts. Do a little bit of damage. Hit a decent blind grenade on the back of the orc forces there. But the shooters still holding out. Sticking by this war tower is giving Trojan a little advantage in this fight. Big hit there on the kill team. A couple of other good stick bombs, and the assault marine squad is going to go down. Another assault marine squad is going to have to retreat out. And here we go. We got a truck in this game. Let's go. Orc player, after getting very excited and making a big horde, has remembered that trucks are still good. Throwing his storm boys back to get reinforced. Almost taking out that kill team squad. Doing damage to these assault marines. Forcing them back into the brush. More marines have come down the side. The kill team are backing out to reinforce. And the bottom side now actually getting built on a bit by Bikerush, and the middle side is start to getting built on by Trojan. Both players are taking those more risky resources, although Bikerush is listening, posting them up right now. He has this nice little point at the top. But now he's going to get hit down here. He's going to have to move out here, and he is. And he might get a big collapse on these orcs here, actually. Those scout aren't going to hit much. The listening post is hitting the orc army, though. Big vortex grenade there to keep them in there. Good jump from the storm boys, but another good jump from the assault marines. Big hit there from the suicide from the truck, but the truck is going to go down, and all of the orcs are jettisoned out. But there might just be too many orcs here. The space marines are holding down strong, but the Orc numbers just don't seem to be dwindling that much. They are still back onto this listening post, which isn't super safe. They do have the commander out now. And they are pushing down. Gabriel will still be a little while to come out. Oh, actually, he switched up to the librarian this time. I did not notice that. The librarian is becoming even more of a big pick nowadays, because you have these large armies that have a lot of shooters in them. You know, versus the old Orc strategies, he wouldn't be very good because you have all trucks. Everything's truck-based. And versus the old Assault Marine squads, it wasn't as good, obviously. But nowadays, when there's a lot more emphasis on these Devastator squads, on these Looter squads from either side, a lot more emphasis on these heavy weapons, this big defensive wall becomes very useful. So you do have a truck here now. Got a couple of squads reinforcing around here. Commando hasn't come down yet. Looks like he might be waiting to just get Gorguts out. This may be some map-dependent picks coming out here from the Orcs. If he needs to fight more, he goes for the Stormboys and Gorguts. If he needs to be more out on the map, harassing and such, he'll go for the Commando and then the Stormboys. It's an interesting possibility. I like to see this sort of different sort of strategy within the levels, and Bikerush also, he hasn't actually switched out Gabriel for the Librarian. He switched out the late game tech for Gabriel, which makes sense. I think the early game heroes are always going to be better in this game unless they get, even if they get quite heavily nerfed, honestly. Because if you can have 3 heroes out for, you know, 9 points overall, then you're not going to worry if after, you know, if for 7 of those points you only are a hero ahead and then you are 2 heroes ahead for a couple point, like. So we have very aggressive setups here from both sides. Very early game setups. And once Gabriel comes out, Gorguts is now out, the powers are going to be quite set for the game. Gabriel and the Commando are the 2 we need to see coming out. Gorguts getting jumped down into it. This is going to be the first thing the enemy has seen of Gorguts, and now he is swinging his club. This is, you know, essentially a better version of what the Librarian has, if I'm honest. And this, I'm really happy to see this, because it works in the same way where now that there are a lot more heavy shooting compositions going on with heavy weapons and everything, having this ability to just be able to block a load of those shots is incredibly, incredibly useful. Also being able to have the taunt and getting to melee with people. And Gorguts is one of my favourite heroes in the game. He was the first hero who I really enjoyed playing with, getting that big deflection up. And I'm very happy to see that when I start playing Orcs after this patch, I might be able to run him pretty consistently. So the Orcs are going to finally get an advantage here after taking that fight, that first fight with Gorguts. But how much can they take from this? Because Bikerush does have that point at the bottom as well. He has much more energy. He has got a machine cult out. He's dropped his spanner there. He's getting 2 dreadnoughts coming out. So although Trojan is ahead right now, this might not last for long. He's trying to push up and take out the second point. If he can get the second point out before dreadnoughts come in, and as I say that, 2 dreadnoughts drop down in the middle of the Orc army and the Orcs immediately start to retreat. They are not ready for this level of power suddenly being added to the Marines army. If they'd managed to take up this top point, they may have been able to get a decent lead going on, but that is just not looking too possible anymore. They are going to try and war again. They've got their first Death Dread out. That is one thing that is nice to see of this patch. The increase in economy that has been given to all the players has meant that we've managed to see a lot more late game units coming out in these games, you know. things like Death Dreads we very rarely got to see before, but now, you know, I'm seeing them quite consistently coming out in Orcs players' games. We've got 2 Dreadnoughts coming out as well, and they're going to try and get into these shooter armies. They don't want to be stuck fighting Gorguts and the Death Dread on the front line. They want to be getting into the back line and messing up these big hordes of shooters. Death Dread and Gorgut's going to desperately try and stop them from doing that. One of these they look hilarious when they run, by the way. They have an adorable little scooty run. But the shooters have managed to get out of here. He's got a wall of turrets, which is just going to keep him pretty safe. And one of his dreadnoughts will go down. I don't know if this means that the Orcs will be able to take this front. They may have given up too much for this. If the Death Dread and Gorguts go down, that was not a good trade for one dreadnought, honestly. Big slam there coming out from a dreadnought. The shooters have arrived to back these guys up, though. Couple of missed stick bombs. Stick bombs from Trojan haven't been excellent this game. We have a second Death Dread coming down now, trying to get some more points in. The Librarian is back down, so the Librarian is going to put up his big wall. A couple of boys did get stuck in the wall, but most of those boys are outside and not going to be able to do any damage to anything inside there. There is still a Death Dread in there. And the wall is now down, so this Librarian is not going to have a good time anymore. But the Orcs have had to retreat with most of their army. There are a lot of scouts around here. Bikerush is very much still liking to go with this large scout force, relying on his high-tech units still, a lot more than other players I've seen. And just using the scouts to hold back the big blob forces from the other player. Big war going off. Death Dread getting hyped. Gorgut's getting hyped. The shooter boys getting hyped. Got these storm boys coming out here to keep this forward position defended. And this game now is really hanging on this top position. If this top position from Bikerush falls, I think the whole game is done. But right now, Trojan is just going to go in with the brave side of this. He's just going to say, yo, I can just take your shield generator out, even with an enemy encampment right behind me. He's getting his commando out as well. However, we are seeing a dreadnought come down right in the middle of it, which is just going to go immediately down. Holy moly, that was a dangerous choice. So the dreadnought goes immediately down, but the heroes are coming down here to get some hits. A big pulse grenade keeping this army slowed, so he can get some damage in here. He can get Gabe down now. Angelos, the man, is going to come out. The big wall coming out, but the commando is in the wall, and he's just going to absolutely pop this along with a couple of looters. Big army down here. Dreadnought and Angelos, who is essentially a more mobile dreadnought, honestly, a lot of the time. But we have some looters here doing a good bit of damage. The Orc army is getting pretty squished up. The large units of this army are not faring incredibly well. There is another Death Dread coming in. The Commando doing what he can with the shotgun up there in the close range. Gorguts and the Storm Boys just getting out as that Dreadnought falls. And then the Orcs getting a lot of shots down here. Gabriel Angelos having to run away. Good stun grenades coming out from these scouts. A lot of scouts running around here, just trying to stop off this engagement. But a lot of those scouts are falling, and actually all of them are falling. These two Marines, along with Gabriel Angelos and the kill team, who are now returning home ready to be reinforced again, are all he has, and this force is now going down. So this looks like a very bad situation for Bikerush right now. We're going to have to see if he will be able to get up from this. In the short term, the ability for comebacks has definitely gone up in this patch. As much as I can say, you know, you can still fall behind quite heavily with just them really outmassing you, which you couldn't as much before. At this point, the thing that is going up is the tech of his army, but two Dreadnoughts actually just going to come down right in the middle of this force again. The the firepower on the backside of this army has all but been cleared up, so it is just these Death Dreads, which are all pretty wounded. Commando's going to sneak out of there, but these Death Dreads just going to get absolutely taken out. They'd been in the fight for too long, and as I was just saying, that the tech of this army could get into a disgusting point where Bikerushownz wouldn't be able to come back. He manages to take out all of that tech in one big punch. Once again, I must criticize Bikerushownz in that his money is ludicrously high. To tell you what I mean, in case you think I'm unfair, he's making Dreadnoughts quite consistently, but Dreadnoughts only require 100 requisition. With the money he has now, he could buy 4 TAC Marine squads, 4 Tactical Marine squads, and still have enough for 2 more Dreadnoughts. And he doesn't have the power for 2 more Dreadnoughts, but he'd still have the money for 2 more Dreadnoughts, but he could buy 4 more TAC Marine squads. Especially if he has a Chapel Barracks. He doesn't have a Doctrine Commander, it doesn't look like, but he could put down a couple of TACs from here, he could put down a couple of scouts from here. See, he's spammed out a load of scouts to try and get his money, but he's still got a ton of money. He has then finally put down the TACs. So he's on it, A little bit slow, but Trojan is doing a lot better than last game at his economy himself, but he did lose a lot here, so he has been having to remake it, which may be one of the reasons for it. He didn't have that much problem in the first game, but he is going to get the aggression off here. Those big yellow bubbles are going to be a big problem for this Orc force, which is mainly shooting. Those bubbles are going to deflect a lot of those shots. Gabriel Angelos is actually going down very quickly here, and some Dreadnoughts are following them quite fast, but the shooters, the loot boys, are actually just doing so much damage. Bikerushownz needs something to get on this back line, honestly, because these guys are just going absolutely nuts. He has taken the listening post back. These Death Dreads are going to cut through this barracks. No more scouts for you. We can see a Predator coming out, and he's getting a Devastator, which is very smart, because the Devastator can get some good AoE on the back of these forces and take them out. That's going to have to be his answer, honestly, looking at it. He's getting some tax out now, so he is going to have a bit more just meat in his army around the place, a bit more firepower, which is nice. Getting some use out of those requisition. That requisition there, that was the right word. I thought I'd said it wrong, but I'd said it right. And the Orcs are once again going to take this top point. So overall on the map, Orcs back to having the advantage. This first point looks like it might go down to the Space Marine, however. Orcs bit weakened right now, probably not going to want to take a fight immediately, but now that he has this part of the map quite secure, he can continue to push out with War Towers, and if he can get War Towers up across this area here, that didn't work at all how I expected it would. That just stayed the same size box. I thought that would make the box real big. We have a Predator here. Big wall coming out here to hold off some of the Orc army, so you can get them in some points. He's moving back his Predator a bit, but he doesn't have much in this circle here, so this might not be good. This might be too much of an aggressive push by the Orcs, though. His army is pretty nuked here. His health bars are a bit low. He's gonna kill Gabe and back off. That might be a smart call there. He's got some looters and some tank busters now, though, so backing off it actually looks quite good, especially as that Dreadnought just stomped. Dreadnought just missed a stomp. Oh, and he's getting the War off. He's going to try and get some quick reinforces, some quick healing out before he rolls off with the War again. You have a TAC Marine squad coming down here. Another good point about using a requisition to get these TAC Marine squads out is you can do stuff like this to the smaller parts of the map. He could have a TAC here. He could send a TAC down here and have it hitting there, and like, unless something is sent over from the Orcs to stop it, that's going to be very annoying for them. So, the Marine squad's starting to build up a bit. I'm surprised I haven't seen too many plasmas coming out here, but Bikerushownz, sticking to his strategy, wants to spend most of his power just getting out as many Dreadnoughts and Predators as possible. And the Orcs are going to push in this side. They're actually going to avoid this point now and head down to the middle. They're going to retake that point, and they might be able to catch this army down here by the shield generator, which could be quite a plus for them. The orbital bombardment cannon is available for the Marines, while rocks are available for the Orcs. I can entirely see these getting used in the next big engagement. Why wouldn't they be? And that is going to make this engagement very hard to tell what is happening. When there are two super weapons on the field, fights just become a blur of colour now. This listening post is going down here again, but Bikerushownz is pushing up to take this point here. Death Dreads are going to attack the listening post behind him. But this is going to be a nice free point from here. Oh, here we go. His rock's going down. Marines are going to move in to pick up the rocks and ferry them away from the fight. But now the Orcs are coming in to catch this. They've killed those Marines. They can pick up the rocks and bring them down here. The Death Dreads are in pretty bad position. They're getting slammed by this Predator from the side. And we're seeing a lot of drops coming down here from the Space Marines. We have, or one of them's a drop. We have another Dreadnought coming down. We also have the Orbital Laser, which is getting up a lot of light on this top side. On the right side, we can see that the Looters are just absolutely shredding the smaller points of the army. On the left side, the Predator's going down, but the Dreadnought and Gabriel Angelos is still alive. The Predator hasn't been focused. He really needs to just get a click on this Predator, but it's not going to happen. The Predator is actually going to just survive and get out of here. Oops. Dreadnought on the back, Dreadnought in the middle is going to go down, but there's another full health Dreadnought here. The Predator got away without dying, which is a real big upset for Trojan. He has these tank busters down here, which are going to do a lot of damage to these Dreadnoughts. Gabriel just trying to stun everything that he can in mid-range, but there's just more damage still here coming out from the Orcs. I think, although the Dreadnoughts just don't seem to be wanting to fall. They're holding on really well. And with a lot of Servitors coming out here to get a lot of reinforcements done, we can see this damn tank survived. Now the game there, giving Bikerushownz some good advice. By the looks of it in this, the Orcs are actually doing quite well, and I'm very surprised and quite happy to see that he is making big tracks. Look at our boy go. This is something that I have never managed to see in a 1v1 between high-level players before. Trojan is keeping up with his economy quite well in this game. I honestly, until I noticed those trucks are out there, I thought that he looked like he was falling a bit behind as well, but seems like he's not. Bikerushownz spending all his resources now, getting some Predators out here, getting some Dreadnoughts. Macro has slipped up a bit, but managing to do things like saving that tank is still giving him a good advantage. Librarian is coming into the back of this. Gonna get hit by a stick bomb, maybe. Nope, it's gonna get cancelled, but he is gonna get the wall off. He's gonna kill that loot squad. Attack Marines are here. They're gonna scare off these shooters. Hopefully for Trojan, Gorgots can survive, but these artillery shells are starting to rain down. Killer Can is hitting this point, but there is now 2 Predators there. And this is the point where Marines start to really come into their own. I mean, right now they don't exactly have a weak early game with how powerful tanks have become. But when they can get Predators out is when their army's really going to start being powerful. And they have multiple Predators out here now to push this fight onwards. These trucks, unfortunately, these big tracks, they're going to get caught. Doesn't look like any weapons that can do real damage to them are there. If they get run away, it's going to probably be fine. Getting some shots off here. Big Boss Gorgots trying to keep him up, and the rest of the Orc army coming in now. This is going to be a big fight. They are going to lose one of those big trucks. Big trucks? Big tracks. Trucks and tracks. I can just pretend you misheard me. It's fine. So the Dreadnought taking a good bit of damage. Gabriel Angelos in the Orc army is really chipping down the Orcs' power, and there's 2 Predators coming out now here. These Predators are really making this fight look like it's less of a foregone conclusion for the Orcs, and there's another Dreadnought coming in as well. This is starting to just absolutely just tilt into the Marines' favour. They're going to lose their second big track. Gorguts and the Storm Boys, very weak here, moving back in this side. They are doing a counter push here again, once again taking this listening post. But as long as these Predators keep surviving, and so far they are doing so, I believe... oh, whoops. Both Predators survived the fight. No, only one Predator survived that fight. So he did take out a Predator, but as long as these Predators keep surviving... Bikerushownz is getting out a load of Dreadnoughts, and he's just going to manage to punch through a lot of these armies. Predators are an incredibly powerful late game tool. He's getting a Annihilator out as well, along with a few more Dreadnoughts. Very interested to see as well if our boy Trojan's going to go back to the big tracks, or if he's decided that Death Dreads are the way to go. Going to push in on this tower now, which is a very interesting point, seeing as he just actually lost a fight. The Marines are here to defend. Shockwave's going down. Dreadnought's getting dropped on the backside. The banner is coming down. The wall is coming up from the Librarian. I think this might have been an overextension from the Orc player here. He had no right to try and take a turret after he's just lost a fight on the bottom side of the map. The Annihilator is out. Devastator is being repaired and is getting some shots in. The turret is doing a hell of a lot of damage. And there are now 2 Dreadnoughts on this side. I believe another one in a drop pod. And on the Orc side there is a bunch of boys and a single Death Dread. Another Annihilator coming down as well. That's going to be another Dreadnought. Dropping down right onto the good set out of looters that he had. And looters are going to reposition, but Bikerushownz is moving back up to take this top point. Trying to get a war out while he's fighting this Dreadnought down here. Got enough of Death Dread up, a couple more Death Dreads up. A lot of shots coming out, very impressive look in these looters. They look great, but they're actually not going to be doing much. He needs more tank busters because the army of Bikerushownz is becoming mostly Dreadnoughts and Predators. Vortex Grenade there isn't going to do much to the stationary looters. Got some boys around here as well. This army up the top from Bikerushownz has been caught out, but there are now 3 Predators coming down the bottom side. Big slams going down on some of the Orc army. The Orc army up here look like they're winning, but as soon as you reveal the Predators, it really shows another story, because they're just ripping through these Death Dreads. The rocks are going down here, but not doing an incredible much. The Predators are the only thing that's left. They're gonna try and take out these war towers. Got some Orcs at the bottom doing some harassment. It's a nice play there to keep stuff on each side by Trojan, but he's just he's not quite lost the main fight yet. These Predators are coming in. This Predator actually going way too far in. This Predator's gonna go down now. That looks like it was a mistake. Oh, no, is it going to survive? Another drop coming down here. Is that going to be another Annihilator? That is another Annihilator. But he has lost his Destructor now, which is very good for the Orc player. Getting some more tank busters out there. Another Destructor coming down. 4 Predators and a 1 tack squad. This is very much a Bikerushownz army. Still with quite a lot of money. Getting some more servitors out to repair these tanks. On Trojan side, Trojan now hovering a lot of money. I'm definitely expecting to see this go down soon, though, as he has to reinforce his whole army. I'm gonna want to see some more boys coming out. Got a lot of stuff going on though. Tank busters, a load of Death Dreads, and a couple of Death Gun looters. I love the animation of the Death Dreads hyping as well. That's great. So once again, going to take this point. I feel like that first Death Dread hitting that point is some horrid deja vu right now. Another point down the bottom. This big tank army is going to roll on up. Orbital fire actually going down there to push these orc army back. They're getting another war out. More hype. Alright, let's watch these guys. I want to see him hype. I want to see him hype. Yeah, let's go. Oh, if they're moving, they won't do the hype animation. Damn it. Still racing over the map now, missing this predator that's actually hiding up in the top. Big predator army coming down the bottom. They're just going to rush in now for this tower with the this buff. I wonder if Trojan might actually believe, possibly correctly, that with all of the predators coming out, it's going to be very hard, if not impossible, for him to win a straight fight versus the Marine army. And he's going to take this tower out. I mean, he'll probably want to run now as soon as he notices that the whole army is back, but he's actually just pushing in some more. This is quite aggressive. Bikerush hit the recoil and has now got a good fight down. Recoil. Slammed his banner down, which is... Actually, I believe we're going to get captured by the orcs there. It's quite unfortunate to essentially throw down your ally a point, but he's now moving down to make sure to try and get that point back. Orc still hitting a lot. The looters and the tank busters are in the back, doing strong. Commando is holding that point while Gorguts is pushing forward. But Dreadnought dropped in the back is going to ruin all of the plans here from Trojan. Trojan is going to have to back off now. And once again, he's lost all of the tech in his army, he's lost all of the power in his army. You can see that, you know, he's getting a lot of requisition back from all of this, all the money coming in and all of his stuff dying, but that's just going to give him a big amount of squishy boys that can get stomped on. He's not going to be able to get as much tech back in his army with that. And Predators, just getting more and more and more of them. If we look on Bikerushownz side, we can see he's making another thing. He actually has a land speeder. That's a good point. I always like throwing in a land speeder late game to get around. Land speeders are still very powerful. He could send this around the side to do some harass. Hit up this point maybe. Getting over here can be very good. The cannon does not reach the whole way, so you can just sit like around here and just kill these. Got some more wild going up. Not going to hit the rest of these boys. Other boys are going to move back to hit it. Let's see if we can get some Death Dread type in. Come on, stand still. Oh yeah. It's Death Dread hype time. Oh, they're moving. Unlucky. That's weird. My keys went nice and slow when I was looking in earlier, but now they're back to being super fast. Anyway, Death Dread's now rushing up into the middle, trying to get into the fight before the war buff ends, but they're just going to walk into tanks and get absolutely shredded at the opening of this fight. I feel like Trojan is getting slightly desperate now. I mean, this game has been going on for a very long time. We're coming up to 40 minutes now, but... you know... Trojan does need to make something happen, but I feel like this is just a thrown fight. Like that is not going to win. Just rushing into the middle of predators like that. I mean, actually, he got two of them very low, to be fair, but he's got a few of them low quite a few times. And Bikerushownz has just been good at keeping these things alive. On the other side, no change of strategy. Lots of tank busters. Death Dread's getting there first and hold the enemy army up. It's making sense. It's decently working, but this top point has been captured by Bikerush again. This bottom point is in control of Bikerush. And this might be the longest game I've ever watched. In the longest high quality game I've ever watched in this. Like, because there's just stuff happening a lot of the time in this game. This isn't one of those one player's clearly won the map, but they're scared to take stuff. In fact, Trojan is being the opposite of scared. He's being aggressive and forceful and active, but he's just not being able to take anything. I mean, I think, you know, obviously these might be good choices to go rather than just pushing straight into the front of his base. But I can totally understand. You feel like, why would I go through powerful defensive structures when there's an opening into his base? Yeah, land speed is going to do its thing. Getting in there, slamming some power down. Oof. Just gonna get taken out there. Death Dread is pushing down at the bottom side. This big tank army moving out from Bikerush now. And Bikerush, he probably also has 2 or 3. These two are probably both in. You can see this isn't activated, so these two are both getting ready in drop pods. You might have another one ready already. Throwing the kill team down to try and defend these. They've got the rocket launcher out. Okay, it does do damage. It's not just a slow, but it's a very small amount of damage. Although, taking a lot of damage from standing there. It's pretty nasty. Tank busters popping up here a bit. Got some squigs going in there. Gonna hit the suicide power. Very little damage though. This is incredibly powerful. It's an incredibly powerful listing post coming up now. So, as I said, that this game always has something happening and is not just, people setting up. We are getting to a stage of 2 players just massing up on either side of the map. But this is now at the point of the game where that becomes, it's a lot more acceptable, Any bodged fight, any bad engagement that you get can just spell the end of your army. So, players do need to be careful. We're getting a war out though, so this looks like it might be the fight. We have this big tank army from Bikerush with a couple of dreadnoughts stationed around as well. A couple more tanks coming. Whereas from the Orcs, we have this huge, massive tank busters with killer cans as well coming down now actually. Rather than Death Dreads, there is no just killer cans. He's going with the full anti-tank now. Not even giving himself some tank to get in there and, do the business. He's just going to take this top point real quickly, real easily. So much damage from this big crowd, dude. Holy moly. Bikerush is pushing down the bottom side. Ready to recall back to his base if ever he needs to. He's got already like a sizable late game army here. I feel like this is just the problem that you're going to encounter as Orcs against Space Marine. When Space Marines get to this late game, it's just so powerful. How are you supposed to deal with this? There are 5 Devastators down this side of the map that are going to push the tower. Then there are 3 Annihilators and a Devastator back home. 3 Annihilators pushing up to this side. Going to try and get some damage into this army perhaps. Stop it from reinforcing this bottom side. Just by the looks of it, I think all Bikerush is trying to do here is just pull forces from the Orc. She's not trying to lose that much. He might suicide 1 tank. Just have the other tanks there so that he can pull the attention away from this side. The shock is going to go off and pause this attack for a bit. The Orcs are back. Turret goes down. Predators are backing off. Dreadnought is suiciding in. But the rest of the Predators just leaving. Just leaving. And now there is a big hole in the weaker side of the flank. All these turrets up here, all this work into defending this side has now... There's a big hole open in the other side of his base. Rocks were used there as well, which was not the greatest. That's sort of an overuse there, unfortunately. Servitors pushing up, not exactly most useful, but they're gonna take some shots, especially seeing as actually that the Orc army is mostly anti-tank. Ooh, big hit there from the commander's grenade though. Oh, 2 dreadnoughts dropped right in the back of all of this army. There is so much DPS in this Orc army, but the dreadnoughts being dropped on the back just absolutely stops it. The tanks around here getting some shots off, and all this time as well, Bikerushownz is rolling predators through the back of the base here. This turret is going to hit them if they're there. I'm surprised they don't just stop and go for this. But the tank busters are now coming back for them. They've spotted that they're there. Bikerushownz is still doing some hell to either side of the base, and he is now just hitting the core. That looks like it's going to be it, honestly. This has been an incredible game, one of the most exciting I have seen from either side. Like, a long game that didn't get boring. Most of the game was active. Most of the game, there was lots of fights. And it ended with just a big attack. No backdooring, no nothing, no waiting for ages. Just a big fighting attack with both players having a big army. Really impressive game, cool late game. And well played to both Trojan and Bikerushownz.